Gentlemen, welcome to Absolute Beginner Lesson 5. This is going to be the object particle that we're talking about today. So without further delay, let's go. We've been learning about the subject particle, so now what is the object particle? So first, we're going to be learning a little bit more, we're going to be diving a little bit more into sentence construction, and then we're going to be going over the object particle, and then particle tips of how you can use the object particle, because sometimes you can completely take out the subject and just use the object particle, and you can formulate a whole sentence if you know the context. And then we're going to see if we can use the object particle and the subject particle together to create a much stronger emotion or much stronger emphasis on who does what or what is happening to what. Now, the tip that I can tell you is try to look into the context of the sentence always. Look at the whole picture and look at the whole sentence as a single entity instead of trying to interpret from looking at one single thing and then trying to see what that means. You have to really look at the whole picture to understand the object particle. So first, let's go over an example, and this is what I mean by going over sentence construction. And I also give this advice to a lot of the beginners. So let's first try to read this real quick. Only a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to visit Korea for the first time. It was an exciting adventure that I will never forget. Upon arriving in Seoul, I was immediately taken aback by the colorful scenery and the bustling CNT, or probably city, right? There's E over here and N, but probably nicety or city, something like that. During my stay, I explored the city by day and night, eating delicious Korean food and visiting many historic places and traditional markets. One of my favorite memories was attending a traditional Korean festival, complete with classical music and dancing, and so on. And you can download the PDF if you'd like to read all of it. I also made new friends with charcoal. I have no idea what that means. With coals who were welcoming and happy. Oh, locals, that's right, charcoals. And happy to show me the best of their city. I hope to revisit Korea again soon and experience even more of its rich culture and beautiful landscapes. So what does this mean? I give this advice to the beginners who are trying to read Korean. Whenever you're trying to read something in English, right? Do you actually try to sound it out? I explored the city day by day and night and eating. Even though we're not sounding it out, we know exactly what the word is because we've trained ourselves to know what the words mean, right? Or know what the words are, what they sound out to be. So that is that's a part of our brain where some scientists found out, or some researchers found out, that we don't actually sound out the words, but we just memorize it. So it kind of just fits into place just like a puzzle. And this is another example. You can download the PDF if you'd like and see if you can read it. As long as the words are kind of in there, you can make out what it means. And also, here's the rule actually. As long as the beginning letter and the last letter is there, even if the letters are all jumbled up in here, you can still make out what it means. It means classical, right? Even if the letter over here is jumbled, you can still make out what it means. And in some of the instances, there were missing letters, or there were some more letters in there, but we could just make out what it means, like LCOALS, locals, or let's find another one. Upon arriving a few weeks ago, right? Does weeks have an R in there? No. And opportunity, and so on. Visit Korea for the first time, exciting adventure, and so on. So sometimes you don't even need the letters to recognize it. And that is exactly how we should be reading Korean. Look at in the beginning, you'll have to sound out the word first. But as you get better, you should be trying to really look at the word first as a whole, and then trying to read it. But why am I going over this right now? This is exactly like yodification, right? As long as we have the letters or in notification, the words in the sentences, we can kind of make out what it means, right? So number one, as long as the last letter is in the correct place, you won't be thrown off. As long as the first letter is in the correct place, you won't be thrown off. It can be difficult, but we still have the words. So same with notification, except in notification, the last word is kind of lacking because let's say this is a verb. We usually do subject, verb, and then let's say object. Pretend this whole thing is a sentence. This, which is a verb, is going here in Korean. You still have all the parts of the sentences. It's just that you're trying to switch it around to make it make sense. So you just need to interpret the sentences. For example, I am going to the mall, right? And then yes, you would say I to the mall goaming, because if somebody doesn't know what you're talking about, then you can say 저 백화점으로 가요. Excuse me, 저 백화점으로 가요. Now remember, this doesn't exist. So I to the mall goaming. Now so you would only mention yourself if you were completely out of the blue. You were just saying, oh, I'm going to the mall, and nobody knows the context. But if someone asks you like, hey, where are you going? Then you don't have to say, I am going to the mall, because he already asked you. He knows what you're going to say. So 백화점으로 가요. You could just 백화점으로 가요. Now, we haven't learned much Korean yet. We're just going over sentence structure, so you don't need to understand what I'm saying. I just wanted you to know the parts of which I was talking about. So, sentence construction. Okay, so, English usually has subject, verb, object, but for us in Korean, we can actually do subject, object, verb, or object, subject, verb, right? Remember when I said order doesn't matter? And this is why it'll get a little bit more important. Or this is why you'll kind of feel liberated. So Korean sentences do not rely on the order of subjects and objects like English. Particles are used to mark grammatical roles, making sentence structure more flexible, and allowing for emphasis on certain parts of a sentence depending on context. Usually there is extra emphasis when the sentence is short. However, word order can still create different nuances or emphasis, particularly in written or formal speech. Yeah. Word order can somewhat kind of create different nuances or kind of change the tone of what you're talking about. Barely, but that's for extra advanced. You will kind of get to, that's something that you will feel later on as you speak. So since we've been mainly working with the subject, object, verb order, right? For now, we've been learning with subject, object, verb. So what if we went into something like object, subject, verb, right? So I just want to go over an example like this. So if this were in English, right, it would be she gave, which is here, him a gift, right? But just by looking at this, what is the subject pronoun? She. So she must be doing the action, which is gave. So she gave him a gift. And that's how Korean would be. Now, what is the subject over here? The subject pronoun is he. Where is the he? Over here. He, because he is always the one that's doing the action. So it's probably he gave her a gift. He gave her a gift. Her is the object pronoun. Him is the object pronoun. So she gave him a gift or he gave her a gift. So this is an exercise that we did over class. So please translate to the English language, state what the subject is, and state what the object is. And you'll have 7 minutes. So I'll do the first one, and I will do the second one too. So all you have to do is translate it. So for example, translate and then state what the subject and object is. So let's say I this morning breakfast ate. All right, that's Korean. So I ate breakfast this morning. Pretty simple. Yeah. This is Yodified, and we're just translating it to Korean. I ate breakfast this morning. Now, what is the subject? Subject is the one who did the eating, so it is I. Okay? And what is the object? The object is the thing that happened to it, or the object is the thing that received the action. You ate what? You ate breakfast. So object is breakfast. Yes. So that is what you do. And I'll do the second one for you just in case. So she, for the party, a new dress, bought. And how do we translate it? In plain English, it would be she bought a new dress for the party. She bought a new dress for the party. What is the subject? Subject is the one who did the action, so that would be she. What is the object? What did she buy? A new dress. So, new dress. That is what she bought, right? So, what did she buy? A new dress. So, that is the object. So, that's all I want you to do for now. So, what you have to do, number one, translate the whole sentence into English, to the English language, because it's already Yodified. All these ones are already Yodified. And then number two, state what the subject is, and then state what the object is. So we're mainly identifying parts of speech here. So pause the video, and once you're ready, come back, and we will get started with the answers. Okay. Okay, so I hope you have done the exercise. They at the cinema, a movie watched. This is they watched a movie at the cinema. That is the translation. What is the subject? They. And then what did they watch? A movie. That would be the object. He, for my birthday, me a book gave. So, which means he gave me a book for my birthday. He gave me a book for my birthday. So what did he give? A book. Who's the subject? He. So this is the object, and this is the subject. Subject and object. The children all afternoon in the park played, or the children played in the park all afternoon. That is the translation. The children played in the park all afternoon. And then who is the subject? The children, because they are the ones who did the playing. And what did they do? They played in the park. Yeah. And that would be the object or secondary object, something like that. But the children played in the park. So perhaps this is the secondary object or object, but it is some kind of object. And the cat around the house, the mouse chased. So the cat around the house, the mouse chased, or the cat, translated into plain English, the cat chased the mouse around the house. The cat chased the mouse around the house. What is the subject? The cat. And what is the object? The mouse. Cat chased who? The mouse. That's the object, subject. And then yesterday we visited the museum. Yesterday we visited the museum. Or we visited the museum yesterday. Same thing. What is the subject? We. And then what did you visit? The museum. That's the object. And then my friend from a vacation, me a postcard sent. Remember, this is the object. Perhaps you are going to be this is going to be the first object, and then the postcard should probably be the secondary object. So my friend is the subject, and me is the object pronoun form of I. So my friend is the subject. And then me is the object. And then a postcard is probably the secondary object. Because if you said she sent or she sent me would be the object. But if you said she sent a postcard, then a postcard would be an object too. But in this case, we have two objects, so we'll have a secondary object as a postcard. And let's see, the teacher to the students, the lesson explained. Or in English, the teacher explained the lesson to the students. And what is the subject? the teacher. What is the object? The lesson. And also perhaps this is a secondary. The students are the secondary object, and then the lesson. You don't really need to know what is the first, the secondary object or the first object. All you have to know is what is an object. So an object is the students, and then the lesson is also an object. Because what did she explain? The lesson. Who did she explain to? The students. And then the waiter at the restaurant, us, our meals served. Now we're kind of getting a little bit tougher, but see, this is us. See that it's not we. It's the object form of the pronoun, right? And that's the object. The waiter is the subject. So the waiter served our meals at the restaurant. And then subject. So subject is waiter. Object is us. And then our meals is also the object. Who did he serve? Us. And what did he serve? Our meals. Yeah. Okay. So the object particle. In the Korean language, the object particle marker is presented by characters or ul. So if you haven't already started the reading, I highly recommend that you do that, because we're going to be going over, Korean particles, and you will need to in the future, in the very future, maybe 2 lessons from now, you do need to know how to read Hangul. If not quickly, at the very least slowly, so that you know how do you sound like. So using these is to mark the direct object of a sentence. We still do this in English, except instead of using markers, we use object pronouns, right? Because if sentence structure doesn't matter, how did we know that me was not the subject? Right? Because it was not I. Right? It was me. So something had to happen to me. We've learned in the English language all this time, from the time we've been very young, that if you say me went home, that's wrong. Because me is the object form. Right? So it should be I. That's the subject form. So when you say me, something is happening to this, not doing. Something is not doing it. So in the same context, we use me as the object form of myself, you, and you is kind of questionable, since you also use you as a subject, like you did that, or somebody likes you, something. So that you is kind of questionable. But him, her, it is a little bit questionable. Us, you, them. But yes, these pronouns, these ones, are definitely object forms. And that's what Korean particles do. The particle ul, lul, so this is the thing that we attach onto the nouns, follows the noun that represents the object and indicates that it is the receiver of the action. Remember that the other time, when you place the subject particle, which is I, ka, then this will be the doer of the action. But in this case, the ölül is the receiver of the action. So for example, in the sentence, I eat an apple, the word for apple, 사과, would be followed by the particle ölül, right? To indicate that the direct object of the verb, that it is the direct object of the verb eat. So for example, 사과 is apple, right? So I'll put 사과, and then I'll put 를, to tell them what is happening to the apple. So now, if I were to translate this into, let's say, as a simple example, we don't have an object form of apple in English, but what I can kind of do is like this. Him. Right, that is the object form of person, but I want you to know that even inanimate objects in Korean also have object forms, as long as you attach this. Okay? So, for example, if I say something like this, him, hit, and we know the context, right? That means I hit him, or you hit him, or they hit him. We don't really know what the subject is right now yet. Subject, we don't know. But somebody hit him. Now, if I did this, he hit somebody. And that's exactly what we're trying to relay right now, or portray, is that these mean a big difference. So if I did this, I know that, hey, something is happening to the apple onto the apple. Something happened onto the apple, I ate it. So use 을, or this, 을. Excuse me, let me just. Here's the rule, 을. Use 을 if it ends in a consonant sound. Use 를 if the noun ends in a vowel sound. So, for example, if I have 사람, which is person, right? 사람, then that ends in a mium, right? M sound. So we're going to choose this as the ending. So 사람을. Okay? 사람을. And if I have something like this, let's say 엄마, which is mom. Ah ends in a vowel sound, right? 엄마. So now I will be choosing this. 엄마들, which is on to my mom. You're doing 엄마를. So, do you love her? Something is being done to her. She's not doing something. Something is being done to her. So we attach these onto the nouns. So since we've been working mainly with subject, object, verb order, let's quickly try to translate the next couple of sentences. Object particles. Here's tip number 1. If you already have a subject particle, you may not need to add in the object particle. If you already have the subject particle, you may not need to add in the object particle. What do I mean by this? Well, Korean is highly contextual, extremely contextual. So you really need to use, in some cases, it can be more freeing to you, right? If you already know the context, let's say the context is this. The context is that you are talking to your father, talking to dad, talking to father, yeah. So let's say you already have a subject particle. So let's say dad. So let's say 아빠, 가, because the 가, 아빠, ends in a vowel sound. 아빠가, subject particle. And then speaking. 아빠가, let's say love, 사랑해요. 사랑해요. Right? Then it means 아빠 loves 아빠 loves him, or 아빠 loves him or her, or 아빠 loves whoever the person is. Talking to father. Now, if I did something like this, 아빠들. Okay? Now, this means somebody loves my dad. Since we are making it an object. An object, right? So, what I mean by this is mom and loves. That's why let's say this. Did I need to put the object particle on mom? No. Why is that? Because I already put the subject particle here, right? So, unless I said my mom and my dad, then it would be my mom and dad and mom ga. I would put it over here. Then it would just combine this whole thing. Then they would both be subjects, right? But we have it separated. 아빠가 엄마 사랑해요. Okay? And that means my dad loves my mom. Did I need to put the object particle here? No, because the only thing that could happen is if this is a subject, then this is clearly the object. I did not need to put mom을, 엄마들 사랑해요, because I didn't need to. Now let's say I put it here. 엄마가, 아빠, 엄마가 사랑해요. Right? In this case, I'm saying mom loves dad. So I don't have to restructure any of the sentences. I could just keep flipping back and forth, and who's doing what, who's doing what. You can, if the more you skillfully know how to slip these in when you speak, the better your Korean will be. So I did not need to put the object particle here. Could I have? Yeah, I could have done that. I could have, but I don't need to. Because it is clearly obvious that the dad is the object. The dad is the one who is receiving the love from the mom. Now, if you have an object particle, the subject is already implied, meaning you do not need the subject. And that is when the context is already known. Context should already be known. Okay, so let's go over something else. If I say something like this, so the context, so let's say the context is talking about, you guys were talking about your dog, right? You guys are talking about your dog. So the subject is about the dog right now. Now, if I say something like, let's say the dog and, so we're talking about the dog right now. And then the dog likes your dad the most. Then you would say 아빠를, I'll say 아버지, let's say 아빠, dad. That's a little chill. 아빠, and then I'm gonna add the particle, object particle here. 아빠를, and then loves, 사랑해요. So what would this mean? In plain English, this would mean it loves my dad. Okay, now this might sound a little confusing because why do we not have anything here? There's supposed to be something here, right? That's how we do it in English. It loves my dad. Why would we just say loves my dad? And that is because we added the particle here, object particle. So we did not need to mention the subject. We did not need to mention it because we're already talking about the dog doing what? 아빠 loves. The dog loves dad. So it loves my dad. Or, if it's a female or a male, then you would say he or she loves my dad. And this would be a whole full sentence. This would be a whole full sentence. So I only needed to say the object, and then I only needed to say the verb, and I know exactly what you're talking about because we're already talking about that dog. So if you have an object particle, the subject is already implied. So you don't even need to include the subject if you already know what you're talking about. And we'll go over this in a moment. And you may need to see this video a couple of times because the object particle is quite difficult. The subject particle is quite difficult too, but the object is quite difficult too. Now, if something is obviously an object and you put an object particle on it, then it will sometimes have a rude connotation to it. The same goes for the subject. If it is obviously a subject, so keyword, obviously, and you use the subject and you are stating the subject twice to give an extra strong emphasis on the subject, strong emphasis on the subject. Now remember, when it is short, that's when the meaning becomes stronger. But when it's long, when you make long sentences with conjunctions, the rudeness and the strong emphasis on the topic goes away. So I'll tell you what I mean in a little bit. So, for example, if I went up to a waiter and I say 물, or let's say this, 물, water, give me, 물 주세요, give me please. 물 주세요, give please. And that'll be okay, right? 물 주세요. 물 is water. 물 주세요. And that's fine. But what if I add the object particle on it? So what if I say something like water? And then now we already know what water is, so I'm going to write it in Korean. 물. Now the object particle, Now, give please. Now, why could this have a rude connotation? Because I already know that water is a object in this case, right? If I tell you to give me water, then I already know water. Let me just 물. I already know what you mean. If I was the waiter and you told me 물 주세요, 물 주세요, 주세요, then that means give me some water, please. But if I say 물을 주세요, then it means water. Onto this, you got to give it to me. Because I already know the water is an object, but if I'm stating it extra onto the water, when I know the water should be given to you, then the waiter, perhaps when you've asked the waiter, 50 times, hey, can I get some water? 물 주세요, 물 주세요, 물 주세요, 물 주세요. But then finally you've had it. And then you would say 물을 주세요. That means, hey, I need water. Like I need it. Onto this, give it to me. The water, give that to me. So that's when you want the person to, take the hint that, hey, I need the water. The water, I said. Onto the water, give it to me. Or for the water, give it to me. Let's do another example. So let's say someone is very sick, right? And they need to drink water. And you say 물 마셔요. Okay, that's just very neutral. Or would you say 물을 마셔요? You're stressing that the water should be drank, right? Or drunk. The water should be drunk to the really sick person because you really want them to drink, but they're not drinking enough. So when they're refusing to drink, that's when you say 물을 마셔요, 물을. You would attach that object pronoun to make it extra clear that, hey, I want you to do something to this water, and it is to drink it. Onto the water, drink it. So you're being extra stern with that person. Okay, so this is another exercise that I want you to do. So this is going to be just a little bit different. Please translate to the English language and state what the subject is and what the object is, and I will give you 10 minutes. Okay, or you can pause the video, but I will do the first two for you. Okay, I will do the first two for you. So remember, 가, this is the subject particle, right? This, 를, is the object particle. I'm going to put obj and sub over here. So remember, anything that has a subject particle on there is doing the action. What is it? Baked. Okay? And then anything that has the object particle is receiving the action. Okay? So what does this mean? It means the cake baked the banana for her friend's birthday. Right? And I know the sentence doesn't make sense, but I just wanted you to see the difference between ka and le, the subject and object particle. But that is exactly what it means. So the cake baked a banana for her friend's birthday. Okay, but what if we switched places here? What if banana was the subject and what if cake was the object? Then it would be, let's say this was 가, 바나나가, and what if 케이크를? Then that means the banana baked the cake for her friend's birthday. That would be the sentence. So the translation would be, for the original one, the cake baked the banana for her friend's birthday. The subject will be the cake. Object will be the banana. And let's do the second one real quick. A movie들 at home last night. Carrie가 watched. Okay, remember subject and object doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. So carry ga has the subject, right? Has a subject particle. There's a subject particle attached to it. So carry is doing the watched. And then what did you watch? A movie. So carry ga watched a movie at home last night. So Carrie watched the movie at home last night. Now, did I need to put this here? No, I didn't. Did I need to put this here? No. Because once you have the subject here and the subject here, you automatically know that, hey, this is the object, right? So, unless you want to make extra clear what is being the object. In a long sentence like this, though, sometimes the emphasis or the strong tone of it kind of disappears. And, in this case, you kind of have to be clear because the cake is cooking a banana, or the banana is cooking the cake. In this case, the cake is cooking the banana. So, yeah, it is a little weird, so I put the le, but I also want you to get some practice on it. So I will do the third one for you, just in case, because I know these are weird, just in case. So the third one. Remember, the ka, subject particle. This boss, the de, that's the object particle, right? So, what does this mean? Since the report is ka and his boss is the object, it means the report submitted his boss yesterday. What is the subject? The report. What is the object? And I know this is an extremely weird sentence, but basically, by masterfully putting this here, or as there are more nouns, as you keep going from noun to noun, by skillfully slipping in the particles from left and right, you can change the whole meaning of the sentence. For example, you can put this over here and this over here, and then what do you have? You don't even have to realign the sentence or restructure it. Just slip in the particles, and that means now if it was ka, and this is lul, or potter, ripotter, which is the object particle, then that means his boss submitted the report yesterday, right? So all you have to do is change the particles and the sentence just completely changes. So the report is a subject, the boss is the object, and then in conclusion, the translation is the report submitted his boss yesterday. Which sounds weird, yes, but this is the best way for you to know what particle does what. If I show you regular sentences, you may not really understand it. So I have to really kind of give you weird sentences so that you can differentiate between what is happening to what, or who is doing what. So take a moment to pause the video real quick. Pause the video and unpause it when you are done, and then we will go over the answers. So, this is a subject, and her family drew. So the picture drew her family. I know it doesn't make sense, but her family is the object. And then the letter de, the friend de ga, received. This is normal, so the friend de ga is the subject. So the friend, he or she, received the letter. And let's do the next one. The game ga at the park this afternoon. Mom and dad de played. This is a weird one too. The game, it. So the game played mom and dad at the park this afternoon. Okay? And a song for music class, Tom learned. This is pretty weird too. So a song learned Tom from music class. So a song is a subject since it has the E particle here. Tom that's the object. And then over here, story ga for his creative writing assignment. The assignment to object, subject. So this means the story wrote the assignment for his creative writing assignment. Yes, weird. And what about this one? The coffee, subject, at the cafe this morning. Sally de, object, ordered. Which means the coffee ordered Sally at the cafe this morning. And then what about this one? A questioner or 질문을 after class her teacher asked. Well, what is the subject? 가. What is the object? 을. Right? So the question, a question is the object. Her teacher is the subject. So this means her teacher asked a question after class. Yes, a teacher asking a question after class about her own lectures. Okay, so now you can see that order truly doesn't really matter. Whether I put the object in the beginning or whether I put the subject in the beginning, excuse me, let me just clean that up real quick. So whether I put the object over here in the beginning of the sentence or in the beginning of the sentence, the subject, it doesn't matter, because as long as the particles are there, we know exactly what you're saying and what you're trying to kind of relay to us. So here is another one. Okay? So this time we are trying to practice the context of the situation, the context of the conversation. So please translate to the English language. And each scenario has a context. Remember, you have to look at the context and then figure out what the subject is. Okay? So I'll give you the first, perhaps the first section for free. There's 3 questions in each section. So let's say the context is talking about your dad, right? So the context is talking about your dad. Then it will be someone loves him. Why? Because him is the object form. If it was he and there was no him, then your dad loves someone. But in this case, your dad is him, so someone loves your dad. Someone loves him. In this context, we're talking about your boyfriend, right? And now we're talking about me as the object. So what does this mean? He sings for me. Your boyfriend sings for me, or he sings for me. That is the subject. And let's see. He sings for me, that's the subject. We're just trying to figure out what the subject is. And excuse me on this one. So this is a subject. It slipped my mind. So dad, so this will become he. He loves him. That's right. If we're talking about your dad, then it will be he loves him. Now, this is context, abusive boyfriend. Let's hope we never have something like that. If you do have one, then call the ambulance or call the cops. And then, I bet they'll take care of it. But he, okay, so we're already talking about an abusive boyfriend. So if we don't mention the subject and we're talking about it, then it means he hit her. Okay. So next one, I'll just do the next one real quick. The runners run them, they run them. So they run them. I know it doesn't make sense. And then I'll just do the other one. The researchers, remember us is the object form. So the researchers study us, okay? And this is the object form. So we're doing object first. So you like to be walked. Then somebody walks you. Someone walks you. Because the context is you like to be walked, so someone walks you. These are all objects. And I will perhaps do this last one just for you. If you think you can do it, just try to do it. And if not, then I will do it for you. So remember that this is the object form of the pronouns, right? It is not they, it is not he, it is not we, it is him, us, them. So remember, in Korean, stating object first is not a crime. It works. So if you did something like this, them or something likes, then it will be someone, right? Someone likes them. Or he likes them, or they like them. Okay, because this is the object form. So if I say him, something cooks, then someone is cooking him. I know it doesn't make sense, but since him is the object form, someone cooks him. And then if laugh, and then there's us, and then the laughing is happening to us, then someone is laughing at us. Someone laughs at us, or someone is laughing at us. You just need to know how to interpret the sentences if you have an object first in the beginning of your sentence. So pause the video and try to do the next couple of examples. Always remember that the objects are here in the beginning, and see what you get. Pause the video and see what you get. All right, so let's play and see if you got the answers correctly. So these are not exact answers. I just want you to understand the context. So someone laughs at us, right? It could be something like he or she, subject pronoun. He, she, they. Somebody is laughing at us. Someone laughs at us. And reads her. So somebody is reading her. Okay. And him talks. So somebody talks to him because him is receiving the action. Me writes. So somebody writes me. Okay. Someone is writing me because me is the object form of myself. And then this has to be the subject, right? And then her, somebody draws pictures. So somebody draws pictures of her. And then them, somebody eats. So yeah, somebody eats them, right? Like Hannibal or something. And then you hate, remember in this case, we're putting all the object form in the beginning. So somebody hates you. And then him, X paints. So somebody paints him. And that is how we would do it. So that is how you have the object in the beginning. So that will be the end of the 5th lesson. The homework is to do the homework. Do the homework on Jotform. And then try to memorize 4 or 5 vocab words a day. If that's a little too much, I know everyone's busy. Try to do about 3 to 5 vocab words a day. Nouns first. Do the nouns first, and I have this on the vocab words as well on the course. If you just look to the lower left side or to the left side, you'll see that there's some vocab words in PDF files, and you can download that. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful night. If you have any questions, always feel free to come to Extra Help on Wednesday, 8 p.m. I will see you. Bye-bye.